Sorry about that. Again, my name is Steve Piacentino. I'm one of the associate directors here with Joe Gelati, Gina, and then, of course, Bo in the back. If you can, please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. So we got a pretty quick meeting for you tonight. You're going to hear from your Utica as well as county representatives. We also have somebody here from the UP, some folks from Oneida, waste management, and any questions and stuff from you guys. And then Lucille, I'd also like you, if you have anything to say about the anniversary parade, if you want a brief, you're more than welcome to do that towards the end. So Joe, if you're ready, we'll hear from you first. Yeah. Great. How's everybody's summer going so far? Spring. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. There could be another cross. All right. Yeah, whatever you want. Thank you.
I'm going to read out my book. How's everybody doing? Nice to have the sun out, and I want to thank all you guys like I do every month. Pleasure to see you. Unfortunately, when the weather gets nice, it seems like we get less and less people there. So first thing to talk about is the road paving, road list. In the back, if you want to see the list, I have the list on me. And there's also, I also have the website, so anybody can check in to see the condition of your roads. They've actually, the last 2 years, they've been using that website, and it knows, you know, let's face it, we can pave 100 roads, and somebody's road's not going to get done. So we also have a program now, besides just the paving. We have a repair program where there's quite a bit of money, and it's not just the DPW truck riding around filling the pothole. It's actually, they mill it and fill it, like, let's say a long road. The whole road doesn't need to be paved, but there's a section of it, like the one that comes to mind is Briarcliff. So that's something that's not on the paving list, but it will be on the repair list. I kind of been catching a lot of flack from the other council people, certain council people, because the 6th Ward, and remember the 6th Ward is part of East Utica also, we have 11 streets on that. So they all seem to forget under the other administration when I used to get N.U.N.A or 1 and 2, and they also forget, Mr. Gentile will probably remember in his time there, in January, I'm sending lists to the controller, the engineer, and repeating calling. It's kind of like the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So I'm saying that's the case. I'm very happy that my part of East Utica is getting some streets done, because if you think your streets are bad here, go over to West End, Pelletary. There's some streets that basically gravel and holes. And again, you guys know you can send me an email, call me. If there's a spot that's bad or something you need, you know, I can always bubble it up, and we'll see what happens. Weaver Cemetery. I want to thank my partner over there, Mr. Carcone, helped me. We put new flags up. We kind of reconstructed the flagpole. And then last week I went there, weed-eated it, and tried to get rid of it. The grass, I have some feelers out to try to have, when Councilman Williamson was in charge of the ROTC, we had children, the ROTC children would come. We had dirt donated, we had bulbs planted. So the bulb and the dirt thing would probably be more in the fall. But I've had about much as I can do over there, and I'll keep, you know, the city, if it gets bad in the summer, we'll go over and weed eat it. I'll follow up on it. It's just kind of pet peeve. It's kind of nice when I go by and it's not overgrown. And So that's there, and anybody who's interested in popping in there, doing anything, feel free. Green waste pickup. So we're in the middle of green waste. Does anybody have any questions about green waste? Okay, so obviously we put our stuff to the curb between the grass and the road, and our night is on Sunday, but it's not in North Utica. As it goes on, it's kind of like in the fall with the leaves. So depending how heavy the green waste is, there's a lot of times they're behind. So it's not like Sunday night to pick up your garbage. The DPW, I noticed this week, my neighborhood was done on Sunday. But a lot of times, if it's not done, it's not that they forgot it. They might not have. I think West Utica gets done on Thursday or Friday night. So they might not have finished that. So on Sunday night, they're finishing there. So they might not hit you on Monday or Tuesday. Any questions on any of that? Okay, and then lastly, and I'll take any questions if you guys want to ask any other questions, but I want to thank we are having the North Utica celebration on 110-year anniversary from becoming Utica, from taking over from Deerfield. And we've had meetings, and we've all chipped in a little bit, but I want to give a shout out to Lucille. She's took a lot of pride in this, and she's, I don't want to say, you're crazy, but you did a good job. You did a great job, and you didn't miss a beat, and you got every detail covered. And I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're going to talk, so you can ask. Okay, you guys got any questions? Anything you want to talk about? Feel free to ask, and I'm here. Thank you, our guest speakers, too, tonight.
Yeah. As of today, they started doing the pavement and
They did. So, yes. Yeah, okay. It's cleaned all up. I know they were doing it little by little, but they got all of it out. They're using the millings and they're going to pave it, right? Yep. Okay, that's good. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Joe. We appreciate it. And as always, Mr. Petras will be here for your questions. He's in the back, and of course, he's got all his contact information. So he is your main point of contact here in North Utica for anything to do with the city. So I would also like to invite up Mr. Tony Leone, who's the Oneida County Legislative Representative for North Utica, just to brief us on happenings of the county. Tony, what's going on? Thank you.
Things are happening in the county as usual. I did bring a newsletter and I passed it around just so you can see what's going on in the county. Next Friday, a week from this Friday, Mr. Pacenti will be doing the state of the county address, and we'll see what he's planning for the next year for the county. A lot of the county business is just state and federal funds being channeled through the county to a lot of the many not-for-profits that are in the area. And that's what a lot of the county business is. But one of our residents just brought up, he saw a $20 fee on his car registration that said county city fee. And I'm looking into that now. I just sent the text to our county clerk, Mary Finnegan, to find out what that's about, because I've never noticed that on my car registration. I don't know if that's something new. But if there's any county questions, you can always reach me. If there's city questions, you can reach me, because Joe and I see each other a lot, and I can help you out with anything on county or city problems. And if there's any questions on county stuff, don't hesitate to call. And it's a warm night, so let's move on with the program. Do you want me to say anything about the thing? Okay. On May 16th, we're going to be having a celebration here for the 110th anniversary of the annexation of North Utica. And there's going to be food, there's going to be raffles, there's going to be music. It's Saturday afternoon from 1 to 4. And I'll echo what Joe Beecher said. Lucille did a lot of legwork. A lot of the committee pitched in, but she did a lot of legwork to get the food donated. There's going to be cake, and there's going to be everything. So it'll be a nice event, and hopefully the weather's nice. So spread the word to everybody in North Utica that this will be going on May 16th, 1 to 4 in the afternoon. Thank you. Yeah, if anybody wants to volunteer that day for an hour or 2 or 3, see Lucille, Regina, and they can put you in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. We appreciate it. And just a reminder, Mr. Leone is the county legislative representative for the 23rd district. We also normally have Victoria Celia here. She's the county legislative representative for the 8th district. So if you live in Ward 6, District 1, she's your county rep. All the other parts of North Utica are Mr. Leone, to include some parts, other parts of the city as well. So reach out to them if you have any county-specific questions. But again, Mr. Beatrice does a great job coordinating with them. So either one of those two individuals will be able to help you guys out. So without further ado, we have the Utica Police Department Public Information Officer, Lieutenant Michael Curley here, just talk about a new system that they're going to be implementing in the city of Utica. There's been a lot of questions online about it. Lieutenant Curley's here to try to help answer some of those questions and just make you guys apprised of some of the stuff coming down the pipe here. So Officer Curley, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Hey guys, so about a month ago, we presented at the Common Council meeting, and just to give a little recap about what our technology program is, the program that we have going in for acoustic gunshot detection under FLOC. So, on a historical context, for about 3 years, we've had a FLOC license plate reader system in the city. We currently have 28 different FLOC cameras all about the city. We've determined those locations based on what we call hotspot data, where most shots fired are, where most crime is, things of that nature, where we feel that they're most beneficial to be placed in high crime areas to reduce crimes. The big issue that's come up lately, and I think the reason I'm here, and the reason that a lot of issues have arisen, is that FLOC has been accused of collecting data, selling data, holding data, and being responsible for a lot of privacy issues, I guess, for lack of a better word. So their talking point, and I am certainly not a representative for FLOC. I'm not here to speak for them. They have their own PR team. I can just say what we do, right? So we are obviously a accredited, licensed law enforcement agency. Only accredited, sworn law enforcement officers have access to data that is collated via license plate readers. So FLOC can tell you what kind of car you have, what color car you have, model car you have, how many cars have been there, things of that nature. When it reads your license plate, the company of FLOC itself is not obviously a certified law enforcement agency. So the data that comes back on your license plate is not property of FLOC. They have no access to that data, nor can they ever share that data. The only people that have access to that data are law enforcement sources. Now, that being said, is data shared? Data is shared with every sworn law enforcement agency within a 200-mile radius. That is the standard. That's how their system's set up. We can certainly change that, but it behooves us and it behooves those particular entities to share that data. Obviously, being a vehicle, that kind of crime is very transient. You commit a crime in Albany, Syracuse, Rochester, here, New Hartford. If that plate hits in one of those jurisdictions and commits a crime, and you could put it's called a hot list or a wanted list, and that plate then pops up in Utica, we want to know that that car has been involved in criminal activity in a neighboring jurisdiction or somewhere within 200 miles. It just makes sense. It's kind of pointless to have that information. It's kind of pointless to have that data if you don't share it with your local law enforcement departments. So that's where the data is shared. We, as the Utica Police Department, are the sole proprietors of that information and data. We do not share it outside with anybody that's not law enforcement. Again, FLOC doesn't have it. And if it's a vehicle that is simply hit as a plate reader that goes by, and there's probably 10 to 20,000 vehicles that are hit on a daily basis through all those readers, After 30 days, if that plate has no use to us in a criminal investigation, it is completely wiped from the system. We'll never use it again. We can't go back and look at that data. We won't have that data, and we won't use it. So it's gone at that point. So I guess just on my side, and again, I don't speak for Flock, but it's a little disingenuous to say that the data that we're collecting via license plate readers for criminal justice purposes is being sold and put out there, and somehow it's a surveillance issue when it's not being used in a criminal matter. And I understand the concept that I don't want my data, I don't want my car, I don't want this taken at any point. I understand. But we're never looking at it if it's not involved in that capacity. So I wouldn't even know what that data is with the plethora of data that comes in if we're not specifically targeting that vehicle for a reason or looking at that area for a crime that may have happened.
How this helps us with the shortage of officers we have on the street and how much space.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to back up a little bit. So again, we've had Flock for 3 years in a license plate. We have had a shot spotter technology, which again only takes gunshot. So the technology works that it's always on, right? But it is only triggered when a certain decibel level of a gunshot or of a loud bang, such as a firework that has been filtered out, is triggered. Why I think, and I would surmise that why this issue came up recently is because ShotSpotter put their stuff on the arms. So just a little history. We have metal poles and we have wooden poles in the city of Utica. The metal poles are city owned. They are new. They are city property. We can put any kind of technology, any kind of reader, any kind of lights, anything they want on metal poles. If it's a wooden pole, it is owned jointly by Verizon and National Grid or telecommunications systems. The permitting for those particular poles take up to 18 months to get a permit on. If we're trying to put technology on it, it just doesn't work as far as trying to get things done in the immediacy that we need for law enforcement purposes. So, ShotSpotter is about $128,000 per year for a 2 square mile radius that we have. Again, judged by ShotSpotter locations, temporal data, hotspots, things like that. In an effort to save the city money, in an effort to do what's right for city taxpayers, in an effort to do what's right for New York State taxpayers, Flock came in and said, we can give you an extra square mile where we're missing probably 60% of our shots fired in those locations that are extraneous to that initial 2 miles, right? So now it's 3 miles, which reaches about to Nickel Street to the east and all the way to Kellogg Ave to the west. So we added those particular locations. Their poles are probably only about 10 feet high. So, and they started going in on right-of-ways, which means that the curtilage from your sidewalk to the road, as we all know, is a right-of-way to the city of Utica. You don't actually own that property. You're responsible for the care and maintenance of that property, but you don't own that property. So therefore, if the city wanted to permit a piece of technology going on that property, they're within their right to do so. We had a conversation with Flock. They are a little more stringent on permitting, and because of so much existing technology on those poles already exist, we weren't going to get the permitting in time to try this trial period for this extra mile for ShotSpotter. So these poles went up. People started worrying. They started thinking that they were surveillance cameras, that they were listening all the time, that they were doing this. It was simply a gunshot detection system of which we turned off everything but gunshots. So they could listen to car crashes, they could listen to loud screams for help, obviously to a certain level. They had fireworks. We only cared about gunshots. We wanted a head-to-head trial with Flock, with ShotSpotter about gunshot technology. They are a 3 square mile per year at about $108,000. So we're getting an extra square mile for $20,000 less than 2 square miles. So it really behooved us to try this technology to see if it was fiscally responsible on top of criminally beneficial to us to have that technology. So that's where the issue came in. So this is part of, obviously, our entire gun violence strategy program. Prior to all this, in COVID, 2020, 21, 22, we had over 200 shots fired calls in the city of Utica. We had upwards of 13 homicides, and we had 40 bullet-to-body shootings. Right? Last year, we had 60 confirmed shots fired, 11 bullet to body shootings and 4 gun homicides, right? So we went down 80 to 90%, of which we have a 90% solve rate of that combined. So we went to having to worry about 13 to 12 homicides trying to solve a year plus 40 shots fired. We've moved this technology in a manner that not only can we now focus on those because they're so low, but now we're focusing on shots fired only cases where we're making arrest after arrest after arrest on shots fired only cases, and we're not waiting for someone to get hit by a bullet before we have to investigate. And I can't tell you how important it is that we can investigate a shooting that was nothing less than a missed shot, but taking those shooters off the street prior to them being able to shoot somebody. And that is coupled with this shots fired technology. It's coupled with our camera program. It's coupled with Flock. It's coupled with probation, who has many of these young juveniles. Because after raising the age, it was a huge problem with juvenile gun violence. We're all on monitoring. It just is the entire gamut of technology that is happening. And to the councilperson's point, at this stage, we are about 13 officers short, with the expectation that we could be up to 20 officers short by 127. It's a real problem. We're having recruiting, we're having retaining, we're having a problem doing this. And obviously, that becomes when patrol is your most important backbone of your function, and you have to make sure your patrol division is staffed. Therefore, something has to go short, and that something usually involves a criminal investigations division or other specialized units that have to be taken away. So you see me up here, obviously the public information officer. I'm happy to come. Any of you who've come to multiple meetings know that Jimmy or Al or Josh, any of our community outreach guys, used to come to every meeting. They used to give you statistics. They used to make you feel good and let you know what's going on in North Utica. That unit had to be cut because of last shortage. So really, unless it's a specific request, we're not sending community outreach to schools to read to kids anymore. We're not sending them to community meetings. We're not sending them to DWI presentations. We're not sending them this kind of stuff that every single day we're getting requests for. We just can't do it anymore, right? So we want to provide the services we can. Certain things have to get cut, and it's never going to be the patrol officer that's patrolling the street responding to calls. It's going to be the extraneous extra stuff that we just can't do. We're 20 guys down. The department that when I came on was 198 strong. Then in 12, when it got cut, we went down to 161. We went up to 170 last year. We lost 5 more due to some budget cuts. We're at 165, of which our complement is, like I said, I can't imagine that we'll ever get above 150 in the near future. Just math is math, right? If you're losing more people than you're gaining, you're never going to get to the number you are. So if we don't have technology to solve these crimes, which it all does, again, ShotSpotter, license plate readers, Celebrate, which download cell phones, are everything else that we have in the gamut of things, of which I might add, all of this is paid for through grant funding. Well, grant funding obviously is taxpayer-based at the end. It is not City of Utica tax-based. None of the money and the technology that we're taking in has anything to come out of the municipal budget. So we're not asking for an increase in that. We'll go out and find the funding. We'll go out and find the grants. We'll go out and make 3 to 5 year deals to ensure that the City of Utica budget doesn't get harmed through what we need to do to solve the crimes. So I guess in closing, there are some very loud vocal critics of Flock. I have to tell you that it's here to stay only because we're locked into a contract for 2 years. So even if we got rid of technology, we're still paying for it. So it doesn't really make sense to get rid of it at this moment. I guess that's a conversation that we have going forward to find out what's most important.
I just have a quick question. Like, what is it more so like a hit? If something is simple, like you can get it for a speeding ticket receipt, or something.
We do not do tickets. We don't do burger tickets. We don't do none of this technology is used for proactive enforcement, except for proactively looking for that car that was involved in a shooting, involved from a larceny at Walmart, involved some great. So we have to manually enter that vehicle, and then if it's hit on a plate reader, either by the car or by one of the systems, we'll stop that vehicle. It's not a ticketing system. It's not a speeding traffic system. It's we don't care if you're parking, and that has to be a moving vehicle that's passing by one of those readers, not a stationary.
Does it have the ability to be a ticketing system?
Does it have the ability? It's not something we would ever consider. I cannot say that. If it
does.
It is not something in the police department in mind. We are simply attempting to stop violent crimes. And I say that because and not to talk myself, just being criminal investigations. I'm the steward of our technology program, and we dictate that this is for violent crime. This is not for any enforcement. Revenue generating sources.
Happens. I notice a lot of license plates are put off. The state must be doing something different, obviously. Can it still read those plates?
Potentially. So it has forward and rear, right? Obviously, if you go by. So if one of those plates is of a capacity to be read, it can be read. There are ways to defeat the technology. You know, you've probably seen it, but they take like a PAM spray or a reflecting spray, and they put it on there, and that's very difficult to read. But we have the technology within the system that if your car has a dent, if it has a certain hubcap, if it has certain characteristics, it takes a picture of not just the license plate, the entire vehicle. We can search via those certain characteristics to look for it. Well, you had me here. Is there anything that specific that I did not address that you'd like?
I was wondering, I've seen the Daily Sentinel stop posting not only Utica, but other towns and villages starting the police reports. You know why?
I don't. So I know when the OD was around, they used to post a police blotter. Know that exists or does not exist anymore. We can certainly provide the details of the call record of what happens every day upon request. I just don't know that the media has an appetite, or if the public has an appetite, or that's something more.
I know that Jimmy used to come to our meetings every month. It was really nice. I know it's made some changes. Do you think they'll be doing that again at all?
No, again,
Is
until we get back to compliment, I don't see those things returning. That's the problem with us being down. We're not in a position to continue those elected services. No, Jimmy was great. Josh was great. Al, they really loved their job. They did a great job. It's really sad to see them go, but unfortunately, again, control is the necessity that requires the most amount of people. We've got to make some sacrifices. Yeah, so we speak to our flock reps at least twice a week. I know that who shares the data, right? We get share requests across the country every day, so I can see who exactly is using the flock system. In this immediate area, nobody. There are lots of different license plate reading technologies, but we are the only ones using flock. Lowe's just bought into all Lowe's across the state for using flock. Home Depot's and Herkimer College just put up some flocks, but there's nobody in the immediate vicinity using flock right now. However, there is a law enforcement technology grant that was upwards of $55 million about 3 years ago. That's coming out again in June. Buying into the flock system.
You don't
Yeah, I listen. It's a great program for us because I don't think the numbers lie. We're going to take the wins where we can take them, and it certainly is a result. I would argue technology. I definitely understand the converse argument, but I just want to reassure you that I think you know Chief Williams. He's been here 38 years. He's been the chief 19 years. I'm in my 20th year. I think we have a great track record of being transparent and open and honest. If we come up here and tell you it's not being used for nefarious purposes, take it to the bank, right? It's my word. I wouldn't stand up here and say it. It's simply in our effort to reduce violent crime and keep the citizens safe. Guys, I really appreciate you. You know, if there's any questions, I'm always open, but thank you so much for allowing me to come.
Lieutenant Curley, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today, and I appreciate the explanations. Yeah, on social media, there has been a lot of dialogue about it, so now you guys actually know firsthand, and maybe inform your friends and neighbors if they have questions. Next, we have up the Oneida Herkimer Solid Waste Authority folks. I have Eileen and Rachel coming up here to talk a little bit about the recycling programs and some things you guys have going on at Oneida Herkimer Solid Waste. Come on down. I think they gave you some swag. They handed out some bags and stuff for the audience, so that's cool. All right, well, here you go.
Hi everyone, how are you? My name is Eileen, and I am the recycling coordinator for the Oneida Herkimer Solid Waste Authority. Also here is Rachel Steele, who is our City of Utica collection coordinator. So I will be presenting on recycling and answering any questions on recycling, and then for anything City of Utica specific, Rachel can answer those questions. So we did hand these out to everybody. So I'm just going to kind of go through the recycling list of these brochures. So overall, we accept paper, plastic, metal, and glass items for recycling, but that does not mean that all items made of those materials can be recycled. Though that's for two reasons. So one reason is the setup of our recycling center. Mostly we are sorting items by size, not necessarily the type of plastic it might be made out of. So that's one reason why we have this accepted items list. Some things just don't sort correctly. So something like plastic film will get stuck in all of the machines very, very quickly and very, very easily. And when that happens, we have to completely shut down the recycling center and cut and pull out everything that has stuck. Obviously, we don't want any delays or any shutdowns, so that is something that we had to think of when we were creating this accepted items list. For some things like plastic film, for example, there are many recycling programs out in the community. So just because something is not accepted for curbside recycling does not mean that there isn't a different recycling program of any sort out in our so just the setup of the recycling center is one reason why we have this accepted items list. The other has to do with the recycling markets that are available to us in our area. So that basically just means that we aren't going to accept something for recycling if we don't actually have a recycler to send that material to. That would be a big case of false advertising. We would be saying, yeah, we accept that, but we would end up pulling it out of the garbage or out of the recycling and be putting it into the garbage. That's a waste of time and everything for residents as well. So, going over paper items, really any type of physical sheet of paper you can think of, so any sort of handouts, any sort of documents that you get in the mail, envelopes we take for recycling, even the ones that have the plastic windows in them. You don't need to take the plastic window out. You can put that entire thing in your bin and it will be recycled just. We also take brown paper grocery bags and brown paper envelopes. I've been seeing more and more of those from Amazon lately, and really they just feel like the outside of a cardboard box, and you can't really see any other layers to them. So that is now something we are able to accept for recycling too. Also, your lightweight and corrugated cardboard. So lightweight cardboard is something like a cereal box versus a corrugated cardboard box. That's just like your regular Amazon or shipping box. And then beverage cartons, so your milk cartons, juice cartons, things like that. One of the biggest paper items that we see very frequently that is not recyclable are refrigerator and freezer boxes. So any sort of box, maybe it contained a frozen pizza, or if you had a box full of cans of soda, that type of cardboard is recyclable. That is because they use something called a wet strength chemical in that cardboard. And that does exactly what it sounds like, so it keeps the cardboard strong and in one piece in case it gets wet. So a lot of refrigerator and freezer boxes are made with that chemical, because when you think about it, there are a lot of liquids in your fridge. You open it on a humid day, you get a layer of condensation on everything. So that's why the packaging manufacturers use that chemical to keep everything together. Since it is a chemical, it is a chemical process to add it to the paper. Therefore, it is a chemical process to remove the paper. And that process tends to be a lot more lengthy, time-intensive than the regular recycling process. So there aren't a lot of recyclers that want to deal with that process. So overall, they will not accept any sort of wet strength boxes for recycling. Going on to plastic, our general rule of thumb is all bottles, cups, and containers, regardless of what number they are. So back before 2012, we were a dual stream system. And at that time, we were only taking number 1 and number 2 plastics. In 2012, we upgraded to a single stream recycling center, which allowed us to accept more types of plastic, which is now why we don't say any numbers, don't pay attention to them at all. Instead, recycle it if it is a bottle, cup, or container. So that is your water bottles, your soda bottles, juice bottles, any sort of takeout cups that are plastic, you can recycle those. You can empty them out, put the lid back on top, and then recycle it that way. And then you would just take the straw out and put them in the garbage. And then containers, any sort of plastic container, I always refer to produce containers. So a container that your strawberries would come in. Those are called clamshell containers, and we can take any container like that for recycling. A lot of your to-go containers from restaurants are clamshell containers, or like a black or clear bottom with a clear top. All of that can be recycled too. And then metal and glass items, I usually group these together because they are mostly just food and beverage related items. So your soup cans, your soda cans, your vegetable cans. We also take aluminum foil and aluminum foil trays. And then for glass, really it's just your glass bottles, glass jars, wine bottles, liquor bottles, pickle jars, things like that. That is my whole thing about recycling. I just wanted to give you guys a lot of time to ask questions. There are almost always questions with this big list of recyclables. So now, if anybody has any questions about recycling or the City of Utica collection, let us have it. Yes. Prescription bottles are made of a very brittle type of plastic, and a lot of times they break even just when the garbage truck compacts. Because of that, we end up with little shards of plastic instead of a container, so those don't usually make it through the recycling process. Yes? So that should be the contractor's responsibility. Not all of them will be good about taking their materials. So on like the recycling and disposal side of things, we can take that stuff at our facilities if you are able to bring it. It would likely be construction and demolition debris, which is $58 a ton. Then from the City of Utica side of things.
So for curbside on that, you can put out a container that does not have the recycling sticker on it, but it can't weigh any more than 50 pounds. Or if it's 4x4 pieces of wood from a fence you took down or something like that, same thing, bundle and tie it, just make sure it's cut up small enough so that it'll fit in the back of the trucks. And no more than 50 pounds.
Yes.
Fluorescent light bulb, is there a restriction as to how many I can bring back?
As a resident, no. We do accept some materials from small businesses. I believe that is something where if you are a small business and you have a pretty large quantity for a small business, then we would charge. But residential wise, we do not charge for fluorescent bulbs. Yes.
I got last year.
Yes, you can. That's something we will take at our Utica. So paint cans themselves, if they are empty, can go right in the garbage. But liquid paint itself is hazardous waste, and we take that April through September. Okay. All right, so we have some extra brochures. We'll go ahead and leave any behind if anybody would like them. And thank you for having us.
Appreciate you guys for coming. And again, everybody, if you have any questions, I'm sure you guys have a direct line. They can call the transfer station. Is that how that works? If they have any further questions?
Yes. Our number is 733-1224. Just call that main line and we'll get you where you need to go. Any questions?
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for coming down. We really, really appreciate it. And it's that time of the night where we do the 50-50 raffle. All right, Bo, what's the prize tonight? $26. All right, that's almost a gallon of gas nowadays. Here we go. And the winner is 513223. Did I win again? Oh, no, it's Tony. All right, excellent. All right, Tony. We appreciate it.
You know, as long as we're in the young ladies from the transfer, from the Oneida Solid Waste Authority, I was down to their transfer station today, and they got the bags of compost. And I'll tell you what, that stuff is fantastic. It's like liquid gold. I use it for my garden, and I plant about 400 to 500 cloves of garlic every year, and that is fantastic. It's really good. So it's worth for $3 a bag. It's better than Lowe's. Trust me. And we also have our Bushinger is here. He's got his North Utica books to sell. And we also got our 110th anniversary annexation calendars. They're $25. They're 18-month calendars. Can't get them anywhere else but here. So don't be afraid.
Excellent. And keep in mind, all the proceeds from the raffle, the calendars, those types of things go to benefit the North Utica Neighborhood Association. So all the cookies, refreshments, signs, and any of the materials that we have here, all are sponsored by your donations. And last, but certainly not least,
We're hoping everybody on May 16th. We're hoping that everyone will come on May 16th from 1 to 4. It's a Saturday. We are going to have, hopefully, the mayor and Joe Brickrow and Mary Ann Wettenchan and a few other people. Hopefully, they'll come and say a few words. We're going to have some food. People can mingle. We're going to have raffles. But, you know, in honor of 110 years in North Utica, that's a pretty big thing. We all here live in North Utica, so why not come and enjoy yourself that day and bring some relatives with you that, you know, live throughout North Utica too. Oh, and we do need volunteers, so if anybody can help a little bit, right here, it'll be inside and out, weather providing. And again, we do need some help, you know, around that afternoon. If, you know, someone wants to help a little bit, we could use the help. Thank you.
thank you. And a big thank you and round of applause for Lucille Vincent. She's put a lot of work and effort. She's actually heading the committee for the annexation party. And before we close for the evening, I just want to go around the room with all my directors here. Anything, Gina?
Just a reminder, next month's meeting is actually the week ahead of schedule because that Monday falls on the 25th, which is Memorial Day. So next month's meeting will actually be the 18th instead of the 25th. And guest speakers will be Howard Potter to discuss Utica City School District finances, and Sonia Marte, candidate for a Utica City School Board seat. Okay, so again, next month the meeting is the third Monday of the month on the 18th instead of the 25th because it's Monday, okay?
Thank you. Saving me again, Gina, thanks. And keep in mind, that's a couple days right after the annexation party. We will put out emails and separate phone calls just to remind everybody, but it's the third Monday instead of the fourth, just because the fourth Monday falls on Memorial Day. Perfect. Joe, anything for the crowd? Where can everybody get the live stream video and that kind of thing?
YouTube and North Utica.
So if you aren't able to attend a meeting, YouTube at North Utica Neighbors, that's where you can actually watch all the meetings. Or if there's some programming that you want to re-watch, it's the information,
North Utica Neighbors on YouTube.
North Utica Neighbors on YouTube. Oh, sure. 100%.
So, lawn repair. Green waste is going on now. When that ends, the dirt comes into the city. They start about the middle of May, and then they come through. And so if you guys have any damage from where the plows were, call me. I get you on the list. And that's what they're starting. They're not starting. Well, my whole neighborhood. So I know
some of the dirt.
Right now, they're focused on getting like greenways.
I got, before you leave, I gotta ask you a question about the Camden work.
Perfect. So anything else from around the room?
Yes.
I know, Bo?
Just for information, in the May edition of Utica magazine, Brad Velarde has agreed to do a nice write-up on the 110th anniversary of the annexation of Deerfield by Utica. So it'll be coming out at the end of this week.
Perfect. I appreciate you all for attending. So May 18th is the next meeting, folks. Thank you very much. Have a great night.